everyone, welcome back to my channel. Happy Vlogmas. I hope you guys are doing very well, and I also hope that your December is off to a really great start. I know that it's already mid-December, but still I wanted to wish that for you guys. So today's video is going to be log one. I'm going to try to be very quick. This is going to be basically talking about all of the eyeshadow palettes that I have purchased in 2020. It's a lot. They're all behind me right now. Let's get into it. So I'm going in no particular order. Basically, these are just all of the palettes that I believe I brought into my collection this year. I may have forgotten some. I may have bought some of these last year, but I'm pretty sure these were all purchased in 2020. But starting off with the Anastasia Beverly Hills Riviera palette. This one I did pick up from Marshall's whenever it did come to stores. And I have to say, I regret buying this one. Nothing has to do with the quality. I think that overall it's a really great quality palette. Of course, ABH usually does very well with that, but it's just, I don't know. There's something about it. I just don't really care for it. I do feel that the mattes are pretty dry in this one, a little bit even more so than the other palettes from ABH. So I did purchase this one this year, and I'm a little bit just kind of like, I'm disappointed in it. I kind of regret it, to be honest. This is another one that I regret. This is the Profusion Sunkissed palette. Again, nothing to do with the quality here, but to be honest, I never gravitate towards this. I think I used it once, and it was actually in my $15 and under video. I did a full face of $15 and under. And basically the problem I have with this palette is, one, it's really large, so I feel a little bit overwhelmed by it. But two, it does have a lack of depth. I feel like there's not a lot of depth in here. You can't really deepen up your looks a whole lot with this palette. So this is one that I purchased in 2020 that, you know, I kind of regret purchasing. Here's a palette that I actually do not regret getting. This is the Alter Ego Aurora palette, and this is a dupe for the Sunrise palette by Natasha Denona, and I absolutely love this one. The formula, the color story, everything. So I do not regret purchasing this one, and I'm very happy to have it. And I think that if you were eyeing the Natasha Denona one, but you don't want to pay the $65 price, then I think this is a great option. This one I did not purchase myself, but it was gifted to me from my cousin. I keep mentioning this, but in July, my cousin and I, we did a makeup swap. So she did purchase this one for me. This is from Juvia's Place. This is the Tribe palette, and I really do enjoy this one. Obviously, I don't regret it because it was gifted to me, but I really do like it. I think that this wasn't a palette that I probably would have picked up myself, and I'm honestly really happy to have it. I really do love the shades in here, and it's kind of a color story that I don't really have in my collection, so happy to have this one. This is another Juvia's Place palette. This is the Magic Mini by Juvia's, and this one I picked it up because it was on sale, and Kelly Gooch talked about it so much on her channel, and the looks that she would come up with it were absolutely stunning, so I wanted to grab it. So I did go ahead and pick this one up, and I will say I think the shades in here are really fun and unique to have in my collection. A palette that's actually very similar to the Juvia's Place Magic Mini is this one from e.l.f. This is the e.l.f. Retro Paradise palette, and this palette is really stunning. I do love the color story. It is a little bit similar to the Magic palette from Juvia's, but I do think that there are slight differences. I will say that the looks I've come up with this have been really beautiful, but I will say that it is a drugstore palette in the sense of that there are some duds, but I do not regret having this in my collection, and I'm overall very happy with it. Next up, I have it's probably my newest palette, and this is from ColourPop. This is the Stone Cold Fox palette. Love this one. This one is a cool toned lover's dream. I think it's absolutely stunning. I love just the gradient effects that this palette has, and how you can do pinks and mauve tones, but also silver and like black looks. I just think it's so beautiful, and as soon as it released, I wanted it. And honestly, you could call that an impulse buy, but I am super happy to have it, and I do not regret it. I also purchased this palette this year, and this is the Sydney Grace Enduring Love palette, and this is what this one looks like. It's absolutely stunning. The formula of Sydney Grace can honestly not be beat. I think it's really, really good. And this is actually the first time I've ever used Sydney Grace. So I feel like this is such a perfect palette just to kind of get my feet wet into the brand, into the formula. And I'm really happy to have this for sure. This is another palette that I picked up this year. This is the Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde palette. And this one has been out for some time, but I purchased it because it was actually on sale for $40 at Sephora. So as soon as I saw that, I wanted to grab it because this has been a palette that I've been eyeing for so long. Allie Glines really does mention this palette a lot on her channel. She uses it a lot, and the shimmer shades are so stunning in this palette. It's honestly super unique as far as the shimmer shades go because I feel like they just reflect on the eyes so beautifully. I also picked up a few Natasha Denona palettes. This is the Natasha Denona Glam palette, and this is her cool toned $65 palette. It's so stunning. I absolutely love this one. I feel the same way about the ColourPop Stone Cold Fox palette in the sense of I just love the looks that I can get with this one. I really do enjoy how beautiful Natasha Denona's shadows perform on the eyes and just how they reflect on the eyes whenever you're talking to someone or whenever, like, especially whenever I wear a Natasha Denona palette on my eyes and then I like edit my videos, I'm like, wow, like my eyeshadow looks good. So not to like toot my horn or anything, but I just do enjoy it. And I really think that her shadows just really do reflect so beautifully. So that is one I picked up from Natasha Denona. I also grabbed this one, and this is the bronze palette. So this one she released back in the summer, and this is what this one looks like. Basically the polar opposite of the glam, but definitely a really stunning palette, perfect for the summertime, for the fall even too, because it does have a little bit of those like warm and toasty, pumpkin-y like shades in this palette. So overall, very impressed with this one and happy to have it. This is one that I picked up from Natasha Denona off of Poshmark, and this is the Natasha Denona Metropolis palette. This one was released last year for holiday, and I am so happy to have this in my collection. I just love the versatility between this palette, between the shades. I think that you can come up with so many various looks with these colors, and this is the epitome of fall in a palette in my opinion. I just love it so much, and I'm happy. My cats are running around, so they're moving my camera. I'm sorry. But I just love the versatility of this palette, and I'm very happy to have this one. I did also purchase the Violet Voss Flamingo palette. I was on a kick to basically find pastels and colorful shadows. So I did pick this one up, and again, it was on sale. And I am happy with this one. I have, you know, enjoyed the looks that I've come up with the palette, but I will say I probably could have lived without it. You know, I brought in so many palettes, you know, into my collection in 2020, as you will see, and as you can probably already see. And I just feel like I probably didn't need this one, but I am happy to have it nonetheless. It's my only Violet Voss palette. So far, you know, I'm happy to have it, but again, I probably could have lived without it. This is a palette that's pretty underrated in my opinion. I think it's a beautiful palette. This is from Sigma. This is the Enchanted palette. And this one is just a like fairy lover's dream. Like just the shimmer shades in this palette alone are so beautiful, and the way that they reflect on the eyes is just stunning. I love the pinks and the greens in here, and the beautiful gold is so stunning. And I feel like it's an overall very well curated palette, and you know, the formula is pretty nice too. Sigma formula is not my favorite by any means, but I still think it's a beautiful palette and it's easy to work with. This is a palette that I purchased. This is the MAC and Selena collection that came out this year. This is the Me Siento Muy Excited palette, and it does have this really beautiful overlay of Selena in one of her bustiers. And this is the palette and what it looks like. It's really pretty. I definitely didn't need this, and I honestly don't really care to support the Selena collections, just because you know, I just feel like they came out with one with her already, and it's kind of just questionable at this point, but I really wanted the overlay because I just love that it had a picture of Selena on the flat lay over the palette. So that's kind of why I wanted it, but also the packaging is really nice as well. So I'm happy to have this one for the Selena lover in me, but also because of the just collection in general. I also purchased from Too Faced the Born This Way Natural Nudes palette. This one, Leah Janae basically talked me into getting it. She did rank this as her #1 Too Faced palette, although now I feel like the Pumpkin Spice palette might have it beat, but this is overall just a stunning everyday palette. The shimmer shades are probably not everyone's cup of tea, but if you do like really, you know, foiled eyeshadows, you'll probably really like the shimmer formula in this palette. But it's a perfect everyday palette, very work appropriate, and I also just love how slim it is as well. This is a palette that's very old as far as it's been out for a while. This is the Lorac Pro palette. This is the second one, and I actually picked this up at TJ Maxx not too long ago. So I am super happy to have this in my collection. Obviously, I like it, or, you know, otherwise I wouldn't have repurchased it. But I did have this back in high school. I loved it, but it was just so old. It kind of smelt kind of weird, so I threw it out. But I found it for $10 at TJ, so I decided to grab it, and overall super happy with it. I did just do a look with this palette yesterday or 2 days ago, and I loved it. I thought it was so pretty, so I love that one. Happy to have it again. I believe I picked this one up this year. I think I did. I got it on like a super sale from Macy's. I kind of talked about it during my eyeshadow palette collection series, but this is the Too Faced Sweet Peach palette. I got this palette, the Better Than Sex mascara, and the Too Faced Shadow Insurance for like $24. So again, not a palette that I need in my collection. It's not a palette that I feel like, you know, I can't live without, but I am happy to have it. You know, it had been a palette that had been released for some time now, and a lot of people have it in their collection, that I kind of was just like, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and grab it because I never had owned it. So I do, of course, love the scent as well. So happy to have this one, but definitely didn't need it. That's a pattern, unfortunately. This one, however, I am very happy to have from Too Faced. This is the Pumpkin Spice palette, or Pumpkin Spice palette. And this one I wasn't going to get. And I talked about it in my YouTubers Made Me Buy It video, that it kind of took a group effort for me to convince me to purchase this. I do like it. The shimmer shades are kind of like that of the Natural Nudes, in the sense of they're kind of chunky, kind of fallouty, like they have fallout, but again, they're very impactful on the lids, and they look very foiled on the lids. That's fine with me. You know, I can work with them. I'll just use my finger and it works out fine. So I do like this palette, but I also really like that it's perfect for fall, but you can also use it all year round because the color story isn't very limiting. This is embarrassing, but this is a palette that I got this year, not that long ago, and I haven't even used it yet. This is the ColourPop Meant to Be palette. And this one I got during one of their 25% off site-wide sales, and I just think it's super cute. I totally didn't need this. Do I regret buying it? Maybe. I really wanted the Mint Super Shock shadows, but they're always out of stock. So whenever I saw that they had the palette in stock, I was like, you know what? I want that mint color in my collection. So I'm just gonna buy the palette, and I'm happy to have it. I'm sure the formula is gonna be great. I will say that I'm happy that there's not a glitter in this palette. So overall, I just need to use this one. And honestly, I'm sure it's gonna perform well. But then again, I've heard kind of poor reviews regarding the ColourPop's pastel formula. So I'm curious to see how this one will do, but I'm happy to have some mint in my collection. We are moving right along. This one is from Colored Rain, and this is the Very Cute palette. So this is what this one looks like. You know, I purchased it from Target. I thought the color story was super cute. The formula is really nice. I will say, whenever everything was going on around George Floyd and things like that, I really just wanted to support Colored Rain, as I knew that they were a Black-owned beauty brand. I can definitely do better as far as supporting those brands, and I would love to do better. So if you guys have any recommendations for me, please let me know. But I purchased this because it was at Target, and I was like, hey, it's right here, it's accessible. And honestly, honestly, it's a really cute palette. I'm happy to have it. I love that it's only 6 shades, so it's not very overwhelming. And I feel like even though it's just 6 shades, I can create many different looks with it. And I feel like it's very well curated. So happy to have this one. I also have this one from Artist Couture. This is the Supreme Nudes palette. Again, a palette that basically broke the internet. It's just a standard neutral palette. Whenever this released, which was back in the spring, very close to the Sephora VIB sale in the spring, everyone was purchasing this. It was part of everyone's haul. And I was like, what is the big deal about it? It's just a neutral palette with a pop of green. Like, what is it? But then I saw swatches and these beautiful, beautiful looks that people were coming up with it from the palette. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get it. I got it for 20% off, which I think is a pretty good deal. And I'm happy to have it. I haven't used it a lot, but you know, I could always really benefit, and I always love having standard neutral palettes in my collection. Okay, these also broke the internet. These are the e.l.f. Bite Size palettes, and these are really nice. They're definitely good for $3. Like, that's all I'm gonna say. They're amazing as far as the price goes. The ones that I have this one in Cream and Sugar. This is a really nice everyday palette. I do like it. I wish that there was, maybe I wish they would have gotten rid of this shade and then maybe put more like a mid-tone shade, but I do like it nonetheless. And then I have the one in Rose Water, which is personally my favorite. I just think these shimmer shades are so stunning. I especially love this shade right here. So really do enjoy this one, and I'm really happy, you know, that e.l.f. released these and that they're very accessible and very affordable. So do like having these. I also picked up 2 baby Natasha Denona palettes. I get that from Leora. I shouldn't copy her, but I got 2 of the mini eyeshadow palettes from Natasha Denona. This is the Mini Tropic, and this one I totally regret getting. I definitely didn't need it. This shade though is really pretty, I have to say, but I just didn't need it. I got it because it was on sale and I saw it in store at Sephora. So I picked it up, but I did not need to purchase this. But I'm happy, I guess, to have one of her minis. This is a mini though, however, that I really do enjoy from her. This is the Mini Retro palette. This is a stunning palette. Like, I cannot get over how beautiful this is. This is a palette that I constantly want to reach for. I will say, because it's a mini and I store my mini palettes in a different area in my collection, that they tend to get neglected, but I really cannot wait to pull this one out again and use it because I think it's just so, so beautiful. This palette I did pick up from a cosmetic company store, and it was at the outlet, and this is from Tom Ford, and this is the Nude Dip eyeshadow palette, and this is a stunning palette. I think it's really, really beautiful. The formula is nice. Would I recommend it for the $80 something? No, I only paid $35, which is great. I would recommend it for $35 because the packaging is super luxe. I do like that. I will say this is an all shimmer palette, but I'm able to create pretty decent looks with it, even though it is all shimmers, and I don't mind it, and I'm happy to have a palette from the Tom Ford brand because it's so exclusive and luxurious. So really happy to have this one, and I'm glad that I paid a good price for it. All right, another palette that I purchased pretty early on in 2020 is the Huda Beauty Nude Light palette. And this one again is in the light one, and I really do like this one. Although it looks like there's not a lot of depth in this palette, I will say that they appear darker on the eyes than what they look like in the pan, which I really enjoy because, again, I really like to build up my eyeshadow. I like to create some depth in the outer corner, and I feel like even though this palette looks light, I feel like I can still achieve that depth in my looks with this palette. And of course, the shimmer shades are stunning. So really do enjoy this one, and I'm happy to have it. Almost done. So this one is from Sugar Pill. This is the Fun Size palette. Super cute. I mean, that little kitty, I just think it's adorable. And this is what the shades look like. It's just a pastel palette. I do like it. I don't regret having it in my collection. I'm glad that I have pretty much all of the pastels I could ever want right here. And I like that it's a companion palette as well. I like that I can go in with this palette and then go in with like a Super Shock shadow or a fully shimmer palette. So I do like it, and I'm happy that I have more pastels in my collection. One palette that I purchased in 2020, of course, was the Ofra and Leora collection. I feel like I've talked about this a lot on my channel, but it's just a really beautiful palette, and I think that she did a really great job with the color story. And I just like it. I'm really happy to have it. Of course, I wanted to support Leora. Regardless of what she came out with, I was going to get it because I wanted to support. But happy to have this one. This was my first time trying Ofra's eyeshadow formula, and I did enjoy it, which actually prompted me to purchase this palette. This is the Empowered palette from Ofra. And while I don't think the quality is as good as the palette with Leora, I do think that it's still a really nice palette. I've only used it once though, so I need to get my butt on it and use it more. But yeah, really happy to have both of these in my collection. All right, so we are almost done. I did not show these in my makeup collection video because I actually just got these. I got them from Marshall's. They were on a crazy deal. I got them very recently, and the reason I picked these up, because I know that I'm not really buying makeup right now, and I want to be completely upfront with you guys. The reason I picked these up was because I'm kind of being a little bit lenient about eyeshadow. Of course, I don't want to bring in a ton of eyeshadow palettes into my collection because you see here I have so many, but I know at the same time that I'm never going to go through an eyeshadow palette. Like, I just won't. Not in my lifetime. I don't think I'll ever see that happen. And so because of that, I feel like it wouldn't necessarily be fair to me just to kind of like completely cut that out, you know, from me. So I decided to go ahead and purchase these. They're very affordable. I think I got them for like $3.99. And these are the Kaja, what are they? They're basically these Beauty Bento eyeshadows, and this one is in the Orange Blossom shade, and they basically just come in these little stacks. So this is, of course, the Orange Blossom one, like I said, and here's the final one in that Orange Blossom. And then I did pick up as well the one in Rose Water. And this one is probably my favorite over the Orange Blossom one. But I will say I'm a little bit upset because whenever I got these, here's the final shade. Whenever I got these, I thought Orange Blossom had a matte in it, at least one matte. I knew Rose Water was going to be all shimmer because I've seen it in videos, but I thought for sure Orange Blossom had a matte in it, but it doesn't. And so I kind of regret picking these up. I will say they are so beautiful on the lids though. Like, these shimmer shades are so sparkly and like diamondy kind of on the lids. They're very similar to like some of the Natasha Denona shades, shimmer shade wise. So I kind of regret getting these, and I honestly felt guilty after buying them because, again, I said I really wasn't going to be buying makeup. I will say, though, that I plan on picking up some things for Christmas just to kind of treat myself, a Christmas gift to me. Makeup is obviously what I love getting and buying, and so I decided that I'm going to get myself something for Christmas makeup-wise. I'm not going to go crazy or anything because I obviously don't want to purge. I've been doing really well on not buying anything, and so I want to treat myself because it's Christmas, but I also don't want to like purge and then get into the cycle. So I did purchase these very recently from Marshall's, and I'm happy to have them, but I kind of have a little bit of buyer's remorse because I told myself I wasn't going to be buying anything. But they are really beautiful, and I'm happy that I got them on sale because these were products that I was interested in for a while. So those are all of the palettes. I definitely didn't want to rank because you see how many palettes I bought here. I mean, this is an entire collection, and that's because I have more eyeshadow palettes in my collection that were purchased years prior to this. So this is why I'm wanting to really reel in my makeup spending, my makeup purchases, how many palettes and how many products in general I'm bringing into my collection. But I hope you guys enjoyed. These were all of the palettes that I purchased in 2020. They weren't all that released in 2020. Some of them may have released in 2020, but these are just the ones that I purchased this year and my thoughts on them. And I just wanted to kind of share that with you. But I hope you enjoyed. I hope you will also subscribe. I'm trying to upload every day until December 25th, so Christmas. I hope you're enjoying Vlogmas, and I will go ahead and see you in my next one. Bye!